Good evening. Welcome to Good Guy Sports. I'm Jackson Gerke, along with Blake. I am with Blake Gerke and the co-host of Blake and of Mike Roby, and we're on our on our show today. We are going to talk about the NFL playoffs and talk about a little bit of coaching news, and then we'll get to some college basketball and some other sports to react to for a little later. But right now, we are going to preview the NFL playoffs, and right now, the first game we're going to get to is of what should be a chess match. Great, in the first one, which will be which would be I don't know if anyone would say this right now, but the first rub match or just heavyweights, they would call it, like in a boxing match or something, like going at it. That's what this is going to look like. For the first game, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs of Patrick Mahomes taking on Lamar Jackson, the Ravens. Now,
So, Jack, are you
yes,
picking the Ravens?
no, I'll get that in a second. No, I'm not. I'm taking the Chiefs in this one. Yeah, you can tell why I'm at the home. I'm at
Big
Arrowhead for that
surprise.
reason. Yes, because of Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift, and all that stuff I keep hearing about. And yeah, I'll get that a little later. But you look at this game right now. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, against Isaiah Pacheco, against his good Ravens defense. Would it be a bit of a challenge? I mean, the Chiefs are down one onto the starter in this one, but what do you expect? Mahomes has a 3-1 advantage over Lamar Jackson in this last previous instance, but the last time the Ravens beat the Chiefs was back a couple of seasons ago. Was the last time the Ravens beat Mahomes, but this would be the first the Ravens' first game hosting since the 1996 season. So that'll be history in the making for this for this team, along with the last time the Ravens went to the Super Bowl was with a guy named Ray Lewis, who has won a couple of Super Bowls with them, and John Harbaugh, who's been there before. But now Andy Reid, the big tough guy they call him, just somehow finds ways to win, and then to recap the game last week against the Buffalo Bills, and Kansas City Chiefs just uh just are unbeaten, and they find ways to win, and against Josh Allen and Sean McDermott,
Well,
and those
last
guys,
week,
and those guys. I mean, wow. I mean, Kansas City just somehow finds ways to win in the divisional round. They
last week against the Bills, it
yes,
came
and
down to
yes, and but I'm
two words: wide right.
yes. I knew you were going to bring it up. I was going to say the same thing too. And yes, you remember it too well, and I'm sure we all have. But yeah, this one's going to be heartbreaking for any Bills fans that are listening right now. And yeah,
Tough one, man. Tough one.
yeah. I mean, tell me about it. I mean,
Can you think of a more unlucky franchise in terms of tough playoff defeats?
Yeah,
You think about all those Super Bowls they lost consecutively in the 90s,
yeah,
and
four in a row.
then now they have a great quarterback and a great team, and all of a sudden they've got this juggernaut called Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs that's putting up a huge roadblock right in front of their playoff path every year. I mean, Bills fans just must feel like they're never going to get over the line, especially because Mahomes is going to be there, for the immediate future, and maybe they won't be as good as they are. But as long as they have Mahomes, they're going to be a problem in the AFC, as well as Lamar Jackson. So, gosh, the Bills just can't catch a break, can they?
No, they sure can't.
now
But here the Ravens with all pro quarterback and the best defense left standing. I was reading an article where the history was saying that when a team has the all-pro quarterback and the best defense, they've been winning the Super Bowls. But not to get ahead of myself.
So sorry, say it again. So who has the best defense left?
The Ravens.
So the Ravens have, yeah, they have the MVP at quarterback and the best defense.
Quarterback and the best defense left. That's a tough tough combination.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they've, in a weird way, for being a number one seed, the Ravens might feel a bit like they're going under the radar in terms of so much hype and attention was given to this Bills Chiefs matchup last weekend, rightfully so, given all the storylines, Mahomes, the weather, Buffalo, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, etc. It's a weird scenario to be in, but the team that's a number one seed in a conference with the MVP quarterback might feel like they're kind of just slowly going under the radar. So yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I think, I mean, sure. I mean, NFL fans would be like, well, the Ravens don't go under the radar, but in terms of like coverage, it kind of seems like they're being overlooked over Kansas City and San Francisco, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I thought last week at halftime, there was 10-10 against the Texans, and I had called that the Texans were going to upset them.
You did call that.
I thought I
wasn't going to bring it up, but
I thought, wow. But the Ravens came out in that second half, and man, they put a hurt on them, and they held the Texans to no offensive touchdowns in that game. But
yeah, I think maybe they're, because to be fair, I didn't realize they had the best ranked defense.
Yeah.
So that's probably something that, as well, that maybe people don't realize, because defenses in general don't get as much appreciation maybe as they should. So that's probably definitely a feather in their cap for sure.
Well, they also have an awesome linebacker crew, and they cover tight ends well.
Yes.
I think the two to watch Sunday is going to be Smith covering Kelce. And if they can cover Kelce, because all they really have to do after that is cover Rice. And they cover Rice, their linebackers are going to cover Kelce. It may be a tough day for the Kansas City offense. And if Lamar Jackson just keeps running, that'll keep him off the field.
Yeah. I think, not to get ahead of our game pick stuff with that, but I'm definitely leaning Baltimore for all the reasons that you just mentioned. I think Baltimore has, if they can shut down Mahomes' weapons, that though in a way that Buffalo couldn't do last week, I think the Chiefs are in trouble. And I think the only way the Chiefs can hang into this game is keeping it low scoring and just relying on Mahomes to create some offense out of nothing, scramble around the pocket, find receiver on the move kind of thing. I think just straight up offense, like all your cards on the table, like play versus play. I think Baltimore is a much better team. So I think Kansas City is going to have to rely on a bit of improvisation from Mahomes, and their defense is going to have to show up and put some pressure on Lamar early.
Yeah,
as well.
And most likely it's going to be raining in Baltimore on Sunday.
Yes.
So, Jack, why do you think, why is Kansas City going to win?
Well, because you have seen that Isaiah Pacheco in the post-game comments that I've seen on one of the post-game shows on multiple networks that I've watched, that entering the game last week, they have said that the Chiefs had played their first road game of this postseason, and they thought they didn't have a chance, and that they didn't believe in themselves. Well, as Isaiah Pacheco once said, they have silenced all the critics, and they got it done at a hostile, tough environment of Highmark Stadium in Buffalo, New York, and they somehow find a way to get it done. And I think they're I think they'll be moving on and just getting another week of practice in and just take your next step, which is beat the Ravens at their at their um at their own stadium, and which is going to be a hard task, which is not going to be easy to do. But at least the Chiefs have confidence that they can believe in themselves in this team, and now agree to regroup those guys are, and what would be one of the greatest dynasties yet, and probably in modern NFL era. So I feel like the Chiefs should do have a shot to go back to the Super Bowl if they were able to accomplish it, but it won't be easy, like Blake said. But at least they'll have a shot and chance to possibly return to the Super Bowl. And if that happens, there could possibly be a Taylor Swift rumor in one of the box seats in one of the seats at the big game. So somebody to keep our eyes on for if that happens. But you never know. But I doubt that. But if the Chiefs win the next game to go to the Super Bowl, that would be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So you think is Kelsey's brother going to be in Charm City too?
Oh, I'm sure he will. In fact, I think their relationship is going pretty well from what I'm hearing.
So what do you think the score is going to be?
So my prediction is going to be 31-26 Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
31.
I'm actually picking the Ravens to win by more than a touchdown. I'm picking the Ravens by 10. I'm gonna go 30. I'm gonna go 31-21 is what I'll say.
Okay.
Ravens by 10. Yeah, I think I think it's like I said last week, and it proved out to be true. You never want to pick against Mahomes, but from what I saw last week, I feel like they're just going to struggle. And maybe, if Mahomes proved me wrong, then so be it. But I think Baltimore is too big of a hurdle for this current Chiefs team, the way they're situated. So yeah, I'm taking the Ravens by 10.
I'm taking Ravens 21, Kansas City 13.
Okay, so yeah, similar lines. You don't think it'll be like a super close field goal game? Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, to be honest.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Kansas City scores more.
There's going to have to be, like I was saying earlier, I feel like there's going to have to be a lot of things that go right for Kansas City, and there's just not as many things that have to go right for Baltimore. And it's entirely possible that it happens, but just because of that fact is why I'm going with Baltimore. But I don't think Jackson's crazy to pick the Chiefs, and given their playoff resume and their history, it's hard to pick against them. But I'm doing it right here, so we'll see.
It may come down to turnovers, as it normally does. I mean, one thing that Kansas City's got going for them, they got probably the best offensive line in the playoffs. And having a quarterback like Mahomes, but I'm still, I'd still be concerned with the receivers for the Chiefs. That's why I said earlier, if the Ravens cover, Ravens cover Rice, and their linebackers cover Kelsey, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, the Chiefs will need one of their receivers, one of their basically someone who's not Kelsey, or one of their top receivers to step up, because like you said, it's going to be a matchups thing where if Baltimore is able to shut down Kelsey and they're able to shut down one of their main receivers, they're going to need somebody else to kind of step up and kind of fill that gap. So if that happens, then that happens. And that's kind of what these playoff matchups are all about, is taking out one weapon and then having somebody else step up is kind of a main thing. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Jack, before we move on to the NFC Championship game, there is a bit of breaking NFL coaching news that maybe we can cover. That's
I do want to get to that. So sources tell me that Jim Harbaugh is the next head coach of the LA Chargers. He
That's
has
not even what
said,
I was talking about actually, but we can cover that as well.
right. That's
I was talking about something else that just broke.
What is that?
The Falcons are hiring Raheem Morris from the LA Rams as their new head coach.
Yeah.
So not Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I was reading it. Belichick is not, because they were like, okay, it's 2 interviews and he's still not the top. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bill Belichick must have said something negative about like Publix and fried chicken and Coca-Cola or something.
Oh,
'Cause,
he probably showed up with the Pepsi.
yeah, I think he might
Yeah.
have said something negative about Coca-Cola, so the Falcons cooled off on him.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
interesting hire there.
Yeah,
I've heard really good things about Raheem Morris. You definitely hear
Yeah.
his name come up when a lot of
Yeah.
these like vacancies and stuff opened
Yeah,
up in terms of
he was one of the
coordinators, right?
he was one of the front runners for the Commanders.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's definitely someone that you hear a lot in terms of
Yeah.
his name getting mentioned
Mhm.
in interviews and stuff like that. So
Wow.
it's a good hire for Atlanta, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. Rumor has it for the Commanders, it will probably be Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator,
Yes. Yeah.
which would be a good segue into the 49ers and Lions.
Yeah. Let's talk about that game a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that game will be a double-digit victory for San Francisco.
Okay.
I just don't think Detroit's going to be able to move the ball in San Francisco, and I think San Francisco is just going to kind of wear him down, to be honest. So I could see it being kind of a chippy game.
So you don't think Montgomery and Gibbs are going to be able to run the ball for the Lions?
I think I don't think they're going to be like totally negated or anything like that, but I just think San Francisco is going to wear him out. So I could see it being a close game at halftime. Kind of similar to how the Green Bay game went last week, right? And then San Francisco just kind of wears them down given the depth they have.
Yeah.
I think if this game was in Detroit, it'd be a totally different proposition given how great of a home field advantage they've had this year in the playoffs. So I just don't see any way Detroit wins in San Francisco. It just seems like so big of a leap to make for this team. And obviously they've proven us wrong, but at the same time, you can argue they've had pretty favorable playoff matchups in terms of the Rams, who people thought was going to be a rebuilding year in the wild card round, and then Tampa Bay last year in the divisional round, who people would not have thought they would be a team that won a playoff game this year. So credit to the Lions. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. It's a great story for them, and they've obviously their fans are long overdue for some success. But I think this is the week where it runs out, unfortunately, for them.
Now something I wanted to bring up in recent history that I want to jump on in this conversation. The last time the Lions made it to the NFC Championship game was back in 1991, the year that my parents got married, was against the Redskins of Washington.
At RFK.
You remember it too well, yes. In RFK that year. So
RFK rock.
That was the last time the Lions were in the conference championship game, did end up losing to your Washington football / Commanders Redskins team that year. So something they had to bring up. So at least the Lions just have something to relief in that. But at least history says to itself that they've not gone past the Super Bowl. But like Blake said, it's gonna be hard to win a game at Levi's at the 49ers of Kyle Shanahan and this heavy run offense of Chris McCaffrey and Ayuk and well, obviously we're still waiting word on Deebo Samuel because he did not practice at all this week, but said that he might have a full practice this week. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, as of right now, they're still going to be so up in the air. But I think that but as of right now, the 49ers should be favored. Like Blake says, I have them winning in a close game. I think my final prediction will be in a 25-23. It'll be like the 1983 NFC Championship game, except it'll be 2 points. That's my final score prediction. Final score.
Well, I like the point spread you got there, Jackson, but I'll be counter. I got the Lions on top.
Wow.
49ers.
Should have known, Jackson.
Ah.
Uncle Mike always picks an upset, no matter
And,
how many games there are.
Somebody's got to. And a few reasons. Samuel's going to be hurt for the 49ers. He's got a shoulder injury. So even if he does play, I think he's going to be not up to the speed. Lions got a good, strong running game. And even though the 49ers are one of the best teams at defending the deep pass, the Lions don't throw deep balls. The Lions play more of a short game.
Ground and pound.
And throw to the tight ends and throw the short passes. And I think even though the Niners, their inside defensive linemen are probably some of the best in the league. But I think the Lions will counter that with a lot of screen passes and such. So I think the Lions will pull off an upset. But I think they'll probably win by 2 or 3 points.
Right.
And if the 49ers play the way they did against the Packers, the Lions will definitely win.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. They didn't convince anybody of huge dominance last week against Green Bay. It's a very fair point.
Yeah.
And also, I think something to mention in this game is Brock Purdy. He's definitely coming under a bit of scrutiny. He didn't have an amazing game last weekend, and he's certainly somebody that people still question is he a Super Bowl winning quarterback? But I think Shanahan's offense and the rest of the team just kind of elevates him to not have to win the game. He more so just has to not lose it.
Yeah.
But like you said, I don't feel as well. I don't know if do I feel more confident in the Ravens winning, or do I feel more confident in the 49ers winning? Probably, I don't know. I guess probably it's tough actually, because I think you make a good case for the Lions kind of making this game scrappy and making Purdy beat them, and kind of running the ball and slowing the game down.
Yeah. I mean, I could be totally wrong. I have a stronger feeling that the Ravens are going to win than I do the Lions. But
Yeah,
I think the Lions, like the Ravens, have got a good linebacking core.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a good key. And then just listening to them after the Buccaneers game. I mean, the Lions are playing like a team. I mean, it's all for one.
You think they can replicate that away from home though?
Well, time will tell, but I think they can. I mean, they have nothing to lose.
Yeah, I mean, certainly
they can play loose.
Right.
They got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Purdy and the Niners have got all the pressure on them.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And yeah, I think honestly the way that Detroit has played is definitely with momentum. And if this was a home game for Detroit, I think it would be a coin flip, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think Go ahead.
This has been a great playoff season this year.
No, yeah, honestly, it's been great. I think it's definitely a lot more wide open.
Yeah.
You don't have a dominant team. The 49ers people thought would be like a dominant team, but they've certainly had had a few cracks throughout the year,
Mhm.
similar to Kansas City as well. Baltimore's probably been the best team start to finish this year, and they've certainly had their games where they've looked shaky. So
Yeah.
these games are tough to call. Tough to call. I think I weirdly do feel more better about Baltimore in this game versus San Francisco. I'm kind of with you on that. Just because of the way San Francisco has kind of looked the past couple weeks. But at the same time, I feel like they're kind of due for a dominant home performance. So that's really the reason I'm picking them, is they're just a better team when they're playing at home.
Mhm.
And I think if they don't make any big mistakes,
Yeah.
then
So where did they play last week?
it's true. I mean, I've got no rebuttal for you there against the Green Bay team that nobody thought would be good this year.
Yeah.
And I've got no rebuttal for you there. I just think with it, people say Kyle Shanahan's one of the best coaches in the league, and is he gonna have that kind of performance 2 weeks in a row? Maybe he will, and maybe he'll make us look stupid, and he'll make you look like a genius. So I guess we'll find out on Sunday.
Yeah. Indeed. Get the nachos ready.
Indeed.
Jack,
Or-
what's
or-
your what's your food?
Or would
What-
you rather say the opposite of that? Get your popcorn ready, like all the coaches and people on TV say.
There you go. So what are you going to be snacking on, Jack?
Oh, whatever my parents will serve me. I'll probably just have some like warm home cooked snacks, and
Okay.
I'm sure my parents will have something cooking have something cooking up for me for this Sunday. Should be a heck of a Sunday for those matchups, and
Yeah.
I can't wait for it.
You can always get Blake to bring over some wings for you.
I love me some wings, nachos. You got some boneless chicken bites. Oof, you're talking my language now, Mike.
There you, all right.
I just like this is like the first time you have said get your wings and I don't know appetizers bites ready, because you and Dad say that all the time.
I
This
love
would be
some
Uncle Mike's.
appetizers, man.
Yeah, this would be Uncle Mike's first time saying it on the air. Like, wow, I can't believe he's jumping aboard on this.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on the appetizer train, Uncle Mike.
Sounds good.
Climb aboard.
I'll be there.
Jackson, sorry, who are you picking? So Mike's picking Lions, I'm picking Niners. Jack, who are you going with?
I'm going with, let's see, Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl rematch
Rematch from 2020.
from 2020 from the 2019 season.
2019 season, yeah. Very nice.
And my dad is my dad's prediction is Chiefs Lions in the Super Bowl. His prediction.
Well, who asked him?
He did.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
It was his decision.
Same as
he has different
then
he has different opinions on the game than I do. So
yeah, that'd be a weird. I think Mike's Super Bowl of a Ravens Lions would be a weird one, huh?
Yeah.
Like, who would have had that at the beginning of the year? Interesting. We'll see. Yeah, I'm going Chiefs. I'm going Ravens 49ers rematch of 2018 Super Bowl in New Orleans. That was
2015,
2012.
It was earlier, wasn't it?
Season
2013.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That was okay. Sorry. Yeah, that was way earlier.
And it was the one with the blackout in the Superdome in New Orleans. In New Orleans, remember that?
I remember.
Hopefully they don't have that in Vegas this year, huh?
Let's hope not.
Jackson, so you had wanted to talk about the new coaching news of Harbaugh to the Chargers, right?
Yes, I do. He has agreed to a 5-year contract, has spent his last 9 years with the Wolverines at Michigan. He's had a great run, but as for Michigan, for their next head coach, it'll be Sharfine Morris as their offensive coordinator, who will run the team now for for the going forward for their future, and then Jim Harbaugh, who won the national championship last season. But now you may remember there has been off the field distractions with different scandals from sign stealing stuff, and that's just where this is right now. So but if Jim Harbaugh we're still gonna be the coach of the program, which he would have um which everyone thought he was. Look, everyone thought we thought he was going to be the coach until the day he retires as a Wolverine. Well, it didn't happen. So now he thought he was going to be one of the highest paid coaches in all of college football. Now that Nick Saban is retired, and then of course their arch rival Ohio State. I'm hearing reports about the name, image, and likeness of like getting big bucks of money, and they're spending so much money on their quarterbacks, like hundreds of dollars, I believe. So now I'm bringing in their offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, from the previously coach for the Patriots and Texans. So for Michigan, I think that you got to feel good about yourself. It's just is that if Harbaugh we're still going to be the coach, the scandals and investigations will still be ongoing, and they would and there were reports out there that they could strap the national championship title and all that off the field distraction stuff that I just said, and I mean there's too much going on with them for that program on and off the field for anything involving college athletics. So but Jim Harbaugh, the big story now going to the Chargers, going to be out in LA, not San Diego, because they're not the Chargers, because they're not in San Diego anymore, but now they're in LA. So Jim Harbaugh, now the head coach of the Chargers, and but if you talk about it for the Michigan standpoint as a program, it has been a mess on the off the field, but so far on the field they have had a bunch of success, beating Ohio State 3 years in a row, and then 3 consecutive Big Ten championships, multiple college football playoff appearances, made the Rose Bowl in the college football playoff by beating Nick Saban, who's now retired as head coach, has finally beat the man who is now retired for good. Now becoming a head coach of the NFL to play against his brother possibly next season in the NFL. That would be really cool. But now his brother had a chance to make it to the Super Bowl, possibly if he gets there, if his team had a chance. So that's where we are now. Jim Harbaugh. Look, Jim Harbaugh has had NFL rumors open for the last few years. This is like the third time that it has finally turned down the Michigan offer, and now officially becoming a head coach with the LA Chargers. So that's where we stand. And every offseason we talked about this, and it's finally happened, and it finally did. And Jim Harbaugh, now the coach of the LA Chargers, and he finally got it, and now he's ready to coach back in the NFL like he did. The last time he coached in the NFL was with the 49ers and with San Diego, and then with Stanford before that, and now the Chargers, and greater things have yet to come for Jim and the Chargers, and I can't wait to see what the schedule looks like, and for him for the future has for him for him to come still to come yet ahead for what for this team. So Mike, Blake, guys, your thoughts on the Harbaugh hire for the Chargers?
Good for the Chargers. Wish them the best. I think unfortunately, I think they'll still be the second favorite team in LA. I think the Rams audience will be bigger, but
Mhm.
I actually had another coaching question that came up. What do you think of Antonio Pierce being the new coach of the Raiders?
I like it. I like it. Being removed from the interim tag, now becoming the lead man of your team in this locker room. You got to feel confident and special about this group of guys in this locker room. So I think for him, I mean, great, because now you got to work hard and just get ready for day one, which all starts with which all starts with mini camp and training camp and fall camp and possibly the start of the season. Lots to look forward to ahead for this team.
Yeah.
So for this hire, I like it. I think he'll do. I think he'll have a bright future and great things for this team for
Yeah.
the years ahead.
Didn't he beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead?
I think he did, but I'm pretty
correct.
sure
Yeah.
he did. Yeah.
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 That's a
Yeah.
good hire. I mean, that's certainly down the road of, or down the route of hiring, kind of from within.
hmm
So
The old
I-
Raiders' commitment to excellence.
yeah, we'll see if that pays off. You've seen a lot of teams have an interim coach who does relatively successful and then they
Mhm.
don't hire him. That happened with Carolina this previous year where they had an interim coach who did all right, and then they ended up not hiring him and they hired Frank Reich, and we saw how that went. So
Yeah. Well, they've got
um,
the Panthers got a new coach now.
they do. Yeah, they hired
Yes, and I'm gonna get to that right now. Actually, they have hired former. They have hired former Bucks offensive coordinator Dave Canal. So this is for Blake Lineberger listening to us here on Good Guy Sports for his hometown team. So I want to get this straight. So he will be the next head coach, and maybe he can turn this Bryce Young thing around for the leader of his team because he came from the offense who previously coached Baker Mayfield which really turned his team and made his team playoff success by winning the division title last season. Now he's been with 8 years on the Seattle Seahawks staff with Pete Carroll during his time with the Seahawks and at USC before that. So I think it's a great move, but maybe Blake Lineberger has a different opinion on this if he were to join us. But if I were him, if I were Blake Lineberger, he probably would say they have different opinions on this. But for me, I think it's a great move for this team. Probably a good hire, but what do you guys what do you guys think about this hire for this team for their new head coach?
Well, he's got he's an offensive coordinator. I think with them having Bryce Young, it'd be a good fit.
yes. So I think the main reason they're bringing him in is to be they call him a quarterback whisperer nowadays in the league, where they hire a coach specifically who has a good track record of working with quarterbacks. And I think Canales had the success that Baker Mayfield had this year. A lot of people are saying is due to him working with him in Tampa, and then similarly with Geno Smith in Seattle as well. Jackson mentioned he'd previously been in Seattle, so kind of revitalizing these quarterbacks that previously you thought wouldn't have had too much to say in the league, and getting some good seasons out of them. So this is a bit of a different project in terms of a number one overall pick who did not exactly flourish in his first year, a bit of a rocky year to say the least in Carolina. So I think the real task they'll have, obviously he's the new head coach, but they're really looking to have him nurture Bryce Young, because obviously given the draft capital they invested into picking him last year, they're heavily invested in Bryce Young. So it's in their best interest to make the pairing of Bryce Young and Carolina Panthers work. So he's the man tasked with that job. So let's see how he does.
Yeah, I'd forgotten the Bucks quarterback played really well up in the Lions.
Baker had a great year this year.
Yeah, I mean, he had that last minute interception, but that was just a tremendous play by the linebacker.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah.
But going back to what Jackson was saying about Harbaugh, I think that's a great hire, and I personally think a lot of teams are going to regret not jumping on bringing Jim Harbaugh to their franchise sooner. Maybe it was more of a case of Jim Harbaugh only wanted to go to one team, and that was the Chargers. So we're not sure how much, like Atlanta or whoever else had an opportunity to bring Harbaugh in, but I think he's similar to his brother John, and it's something I was talking with our dad about recently, is that he's someone that brings a culture to a team, whether it's college football with Michigan or previously with the 49ers. He's not everyone's favorite coach because he's not afraid to deliver tough messages, and he's not afraid to get in guys' faces, but he's someone that delivers a identity and a strong culture to a franchise. And I can't think of many teams that are in need of that more than the Chargers. They've got talent, but what they haven't really had is strong coaching and strong decision making in the front office or in the coaching ranks. So I think it's a great hire from the Chargers, and I think it makes a lot of sense for both parties. Jim's obviously got some unfinished business in the NFL. He got close with his 49ers team, but could never quite get over the hump in that Super Bowl previously. And obviously he's seeing how well his brother's doing in the NFL. So that's certainly an itch that he wants to scratch. And from an LA Chargers perspective, they've kind of been in coaching limbo / purgatory, whatever you want to call it, for a couple of years. And they've obviously got one of the most talented young quarterbacks in the league. So that makes it an attractive coaching job for a lot of candidates. So I think it makes a lot of sense from both parties, and I think they'll do well. I think obviously Mike mentioned the Raiders hiring their new coach, and obviously the Chiefs are in that division, and Sean Payton's with the Broncos, and his quarterback situation is a bit up in the air because he ended up benching Russell Wilson. So I'm not saying the Chargers are going to do better than the Chiefs next year, but they've certainly put themselves in position to perhaps take a grasp of the AFC West if the Chiefs end up falling off. We'll see what happens this weekend, but yeah, I think they've put themselves in the mix in the AFC, that's for sure, with that hire.
Yeah, I would agree. So Jack,
Well,
I've heard rumors that Ron Rivera might be the Eagles' new defensive coordinator.
I haven't heard anything about that, but at least something that you just read into or brought up. But
now
but
I've also, yeah, I've heard they were I've heard they're actually looking at Fangio now, Uncle Mike, because he was relieved from his duties in Miami.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he's their defensive coordinator for the team, or offensive coordinator.
It's not confirmed yet, but it looks like Philadelphia. I think they were looking at Rivera, and then I think once Vic Fangio was relieved of his duties down there in South Florida, the Eagles are going to pounce on him. And to be honest, that's something that the Eagles, they need to get that hire right, because the defensive coordinator, I think they brought in Matt Patricia this year, right? And we saw how that ended. So they need to get that hire right if they want to compete next year.
Yeah. They probably figured it's easy enough to beat the Commanders. We don't need Rivera.
Yeah, exactly. They say, yeah, I think Rivera comes with his all of his scouting on the Commanders and said, guys, I have all the answers about how to beat the Commanders.
Yeah, that's all right.
And they say, buddy, we already know how to beat the Commanders. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, we just
Who's
show
next?
up.
Yeah, so there's that. And the next topic I want to get to is I want to talk some college basketball next. So I don't know if you heard, but South Carolina did upset Kentucky at home, and the fans did storm the court. So I just want to, I want to know if you catch any of the highlights of it or saw it, because I certainly did, and that was just some storm courting, and the fans were really into it. But the school was like fined for like hundreds of dollars after to pay for this for destroying destroying the property of the gym floor, or the students just doing some damage on it, or just stuff like that. I mean, let the fans just have a great time. They beat a blue blood school of Kentucky, and they got the win. And let them have it. I mean, Blake Gerke. I know we don't have Blake Lineberger on, our former USC alum with us, but how about but how about it? I mean, those Gamecocks just somehow find a way to win. I know they're not ranked, but at least they got a win in them. It's a great start. But Blake Gerke, you have any thoughts on this on this win for our alum South Carolina Gamecocks team?
Well, I hope it was worth it because they did get fined $100,000 for storming the court. But yeah, no, it's a good win. It's a good win for them, and I think in the SEC in particular, obviously Kentucky's always been a big team, and I know when I was going to school at Vanderbilt, the games versus Kentucky were always there's a bit of rivalry there as well, to be fair, in all sports. But the games against Kentucky were always a big deal. So yeah, knocking them off, whether it's a an all-time Kentucky team or just a regular one, it's always a big deal, to be fair. So so that's certainly a great win. But just looking at some of the rankings and recent results in the college game, it does seem like an interesting year. There's a couple teams kind of setting themselves out, like UConn, Purdue, UNC, Houston, who are kind of always in and around that top section. But yeah, I don't know. The ACC I think is a pretty strong conference this year as well. SEC has some strong teams with Tennessee and Kentucky. And then you've got your usual blue bloods, like you said, with Kansas and Duke and all those knocking around. So yeah, I don't know. Should be interesting rest of the year before the tournament.
Well, right now I'm looking at the college football men's basketball rankings, and right now UConn is number one. Purdue, a school you went to prior to Vanderbilt for about a year, they are ranked number two, and then followed by North Carolina, Houston, Tennessee, Kentucky, Kansas, Auburn, Arizona, and Illinois, and then round out Oklahoma, Duke, and Wisconsin, and Marquette, and the rest of them are so and so. So lots to be said between now and March, but I'm sure things will be changed between now and the big dance. Sure, we have something to look forward to for what college football and for what college basketball has in store for the months ahead, for what their teams mindsets are going to look like for that time of year.
Yeah,
good.
it should be interesting. Jackson, do you have any more topics, or can I bring up my own topic?
Yeah, do you have one for us?
I was going to ask Uncle Mike about the announcement for the players that are making it into the Baseball Hall of Fame this year, and what he made of the class this year. Just to remind the viewers, Beltre, Helton, and Maurer being the names. Kind of an interesting one. I understand. I think Beltre has certainly the hitting stats, and Helton and Maurer maybe a bit surprising on Maurer. I know he was probably one of the best catchers in the game there for a short amount of time, but I feel like the injuries kind of hampered his career. So maybe that was more of a peak versus longevity argument there.
Yeah, no, I'd see that. But he also played with the Twins. That may have cut him out
Yeah,
a
true.
little bit. Got a feel for Billy Wagner. He missed the Hall by 5 votes. 5 votes short.
So is he still going to be on the ballot for much
He
longer?
He will be on the ballot one more time next year. And I would hope he gets in there. He's being a relief pitcher. They don't have a whole lot of relief pitchers in there, but he's got the stats for that.
Yeah, it's interesting just looking at the voting for this year, how it's still, even though I feel like the whole steroids conversation for Hall of Fame voting at this point is kind of played out, but still a lot of the names that come close
Yeah.
to the 75% threshold. Gary Sheffield, Andrew Jones, Beltran, A-Rod.
A-Rod. A-Rod
It's
didn't
just
get even
it's
close.
just kind of because I feel like I don't know how, like, I'm sure, I guess the baseball people that the writers that vote for this are very like traditional
Yeah.
journalists, stuff like that, and so they just take a hard stance on,
Mhm.
we're never letting in A-Rod, we're never letting in Manny
Yeah.
Ramirez. Like, I don't care how long they're on the ballot, but
Yeah.
I almost feel like this, like, a lot of people have come around on the steroids, and maybe not for like players like McGuire and Bonds and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but it almost seems like that conversation has come full circle and been like, we kind of understand that like this era of baseball happened, but like
Right.
it was such an enjoyable number, like numbers wise for hitting and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So at least from my perspective, I feel like the kind of like
Yeah.
the backtracking on Hall of Fame voting is kind of, it's a bit overdone now, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, I would also have to think that the owners and the commissioner's office took a blind eye for a long time,
Right.
because many of those years, these steroids were not banned by baseball, and it was all coming out of the strike season. Was it back in '93 when they canceled the World Series because of the baseball strike? And so there was also talk about retracting some teams out of baseball. So baseball in the mid '90s had a big problem regaining their audience, because of the strike. And I think guys like Cal Ripken Jr., helped put people back in the seats by beating chasing Lou Gehrig's Iron Man, and so they kind of took a blind eye of these guys hitting, all these home runs and everything to get people in the seats. And then all of a sudden, then they decided, well, we need to catch up with the rest of the sports world and really ban these substances. So I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, these guys knew they were cheating, but I think the owners in the commissioner's office also has almost an equal part to play in it's the steroid issue, or steroid era of baseball.
Yeah,
But
I think for a lot of these all-time greats, it's just very unfair, in my opinion, that
mhm.
a lot of these players would have had Hall of Fame careers even if they didn't take the steroids, the likes of Andrew Jones, Alex Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez. So
Yeah.
I understand why they're not being recognized for the Hall of Fame because of
Mhm.
the whole steroids issue. But I mean, some of these players, like Barry Bonds, for example, was a Hall of Fame player in the first couple of
Yeah.
years of his career and then obviously he became much more of a different
Yeah.
player when he was taking steroids and breaking home run records and stuff like that. But
But
I feel like
he still had to connect with the ball.
exactly, like
I mean,
that's
that's
the thing
still,
is, if
you
you're
know,
if you're a crap hitter and you take steroids, maybe you'll improve your performance, or a pitcher for that.
you'll be
But
a better crap player.
exactly, you're not gonna. An all-time player is an all-time player, in my opinion,
Mhm.
and maybe you can elevate yourself to break records, and you can elevate yourself to get that little extra edge. And I understand
Mhm.
professional sports getting a little extra edge makes a big advantage for
Yeah.
sure. But some of these all-time great players would have been all-time great
Yeah.
players regardless. So
Yeah. No. Congratulations to Hellman, Rockies. I think he's the first Rockies to be in the, to play all his time with the Rockies, and made it into the Hall.
right, because I think Larry Walker made it recently as well, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. But obviously he was Montreal and stuff before, right? Or
Yeah.
Toronto or something. Yeah. No,
And
that's
then,
he's a great player. He was certainly, in terms of like, because I played first base when I was playing baseball as a youth, so he was always somebody that I looked to
mhm.
growing up as kind of the pinnacle power lefty first baseman, kind
Yeah.
of maybe kind of Freddie Freeman before Freddie Freeman in some ways, in terms of a big powerful left-handed
Yeah.
first baseman who was just kind of a consistent player. You kind of knew
Mhm.
what you were getting from him year
Yeah.
after year. terms of RBIs and all that stuff. So yeah, great player.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I like Todd Helton.
Yeah, and congratulate to Beltre. I mean, he was at 95%.
Oh yeah, he was a shoo-in,
I
wasn't
mean,
he? Does he have? I think how many hits does he have, by the way? I think he's.
Yeah, I don't.
Let me pull up those numbers really quick
Okay.
just to kind of back him up. But he was always one of those players I felt was a bit underrated, actually.
Well, you
Because
played all those years for the Rangers when the Rangers didn't have anything.
exactly. So he's got over 3,000 hits. He's only a 4-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove, 4-time Silver Slugger. And like you said, he was with his best years probably were with a Texas team, which was kind of later in his career as well. So
Yeah.
a lot of these players end up finding their peak years later in their career, and he was certainly an example of that. But for him to get 3,000 hits as well, and he's obviously a Texas Ranger legend as well. So credit to Beltre. Yeah, I think he's a very deserved Hall of Famer.
And I also, other than Billy Wagner, he would, if he had he would have had been the fourth one, to keep it to 3 guys, make it into the Hall this year. So that, they're trying to keep it, keep it real, who really belongs there or not. And that's good to see as from a fan. But even better, we got 20 days till pitchers and catchers report.
It's not too far away, right, Jack?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll dive into that when we have more time. But well, at least Blake Lineberger was able to join us. But at least we have the technology for us to send text messages and to our YouTube channel and for our live chat. He'll always be here with us, even when he's not with us, because as you said earlier, Mike, I found out that he is in Montana for his ski trip, not Lake Tahoe, just to get yourself confused. Kind of like where my sister goes for her ski trip, but no, Montana is where Blake's at today. So I texted him with him earlier, and he said he does not have a signal, but he'll be with us in our hearts. He'll be with us together because he's still a part of our show as a co-host. We will be thinking of you and him on behalf, even though he's not able to join us this week. We will get our full support and honor of him. Just want to get a quick shout out. So real quick before we get ourselves out of here, I want to get another shout out that today is Winnie's birthday. She is turning 7.
Wow! Yes. Happy birthday, Winnie!
Happy birthday, Winnie!
Yes, and she's laying right next to me to my left, and I got to ask you, Mike, did your dogs do any of your dogs Racy had their birthday yet?
Not this year, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, Gracie's birthday is in July, and Sandy's birthday is in May.
Oh,
but we'll celebrate.
That's good to know. Good.
Yeah.
Good to know. But at least I have a photo for you that I'll send to you. So
okay. Excellent.
It's supposed to be it's supposed to be it's supposed to be
oh wow, there it is.
Yep.
There's it. Yeah.
Just a nice
rocking that bandana.
Just a nice bandana,
like
great photo of her.
Majestic as always.
Yeah.
On the picture of her she looks handsome and just she looks pretty.
Yes. She's a beautiful girl.
Oh yes.
Shout out Winnie. Great dog.
We love her very much. Shout out to Winnie, and yes. She loves me and I love her, and she's always part of our family, and I thank her for that.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that is a great way to wrap our show. I'm sure we'll recap more on Championship Sunday next week. Mike, Blake, great to talk to you. I'm sorry we can't get Blake Lineberger on, but he's always with us in our hearts, like I said. He will always be with us. Blake, Mike, great great to be with you. Have a great night and the rest of your weekend. And great talk to you as always.
Yeah. Great show tonight. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you, Blake.
Thanks, everyone.
See
Yep.
you.
Thank you guys. See ya. Bye bye.